Looking for fun places to go to when you're bored at home, or maybe trying to find some people that you can gather with? Well, I have a couple ideas for you that could work. Not only are they affordable, but I'm also ranking these activities and telling you how I would modify these activities if I were to do them again. One is roller skating, or you could go to the roller rink, whatever is best or closest to you. One thing I like about this is that when you come into these roller rinks or roller skating places, you don't necessarily need to have the equipment. A lot of times they have an area where you can rent it out for an inexpensive cost. Now, when it comes to roller skating and you already have your own skates, now you can bring it in, but sometimes they may charge you an entrance fee. But the reason why I love this so much is because of the different themed nights. For example, United States of Skates, which is here in Raleigh, North Carolina, they have different themed nights like disco night or 90s night, where they have a DJ playing and have a different theme that you can enjoy and just enjoy a new ambiance while you're skating. And the great thing about this is that this also allows you to gather and see different people. Now, there are some people that may regularly show up, but it's a great way to see people to interact when you're skating. And now, when it comes to these locations, when it comes to bringing people along, one thing I would modify again is expectations when you're bringing people in and knowing their level or ability when it comes to skating. See, skating is one of those sports where it can be really rough when you get started, and it can be embarrassing if you're going there on a Friday night at 5 or 6 p.m. trying to learn how to skate and there's so many people around you. You may collapse and actually hurt someone while you're trying to skate. So I would keep in mind, if you're bringing someone along to go skate with you, figure out their level or skills so that way when you do go skating, you give them the time and space to maybe go a little bit earlier. So instead of going at 5 at Friday night, you can maybe go at 12 or 1 p.m. during a public skating session, so that way they have a chance to have more space and not have to interact with so many people if they're learning how to skate. Another thing to keep in mind when you are skating is keeping in mind that sometimes, even if you can't make it to public skating sessions, it's okay because sometimes they offer other time slots for you to skate. So just make sure you check the skating or roller rinks event calendar to see if there's another time you want to skate, if you can't make it for the public session, or if you want to do something that's a little bit more interesting and fun. Another great reason why I also offer skating is because a lot of places have a big facility, so again, enough space for you to interact with other things. Like some skating places may have an arcade room, they may have an area where you have a photo booth. So again, look at the facility that you're going to and see what type of other activities that you can interact with if you're not so keen on skating on the floor and worrying about hurting yourself. But the good thing is, in some skating places, they do have those little gliders or little kind of stroller walker things that can help you, assist you when you're skating if you need a little bit help when you're learning. Now, another place I would recommend is bowling, and bowling alleys specifically. But the reason why I recommend this, even though a lot of people do recommend bowling alleys, is the way they can accommodate so many people with one game. There's very rare to find sports that can have so many people entertained, and also so many people don't have to be at the same skill level. It's entertaining to watch people do well as people learning or failing at bowling. But one thing to keep in mind, what I notice greatly when it comes to bowling, is pricing. If you want to know about more fun activities to do in the Raleigh-Durham area, check out my website where I show you different suburbs as well as locations of how to find fun activities. And going to bowling, this is very important because when I looked at two different bowling alleys, like Buffalo Lanes, and then there was another one called Stars and Strikes, their prices vary. Now, it could be because of what the facility offers other than bowling. Like a lot of bowling places may have arcade rooms, some may have bumper cars, but some of them also may change because of the experience that you have with bowling. With Stars and Strikes, they do offer augmented reality, which is like a projection screen that goes on the bowling alley and may have some interactive games that you can interact with when you bowl. That's really fun, but that also comes at a cost. And then there are some bowling alleys they may offer it, but maybe just a difference when it comes to technology. So look at the pricing. Another important thing, a great thing about bowling is that sometimes the pricing can drop depending on the hour or the time or the amount of people that you bring. So obviously if you go bowling on a Wednesday night, it's much more inexpensive than going on a Friday night. So that could also differ when it comes to pricing. And another thing, again, going back to different entertainment options, some bowling alleys, like I mentioned, could have more things like an arcade room. Maybe they have a widely food variety options. So one thing I would modify if I were going to another bowling alley is keeping in mind asking people what they want when they go there. If we're just going there purely for bowling, or we know we're just going to be entertained for bowling, I will go to that place's website and see what the prices are so that we can get the best deal possible. And if you are planning to go with a large amount of people, and let's say you can't really control what everyone would like, a bigger bowling or arcade or family entertainment center might be your best bet, because it can entertain a wide variety of people who may not be interested in bowling, or maybe people who show up early or a little bit late, and bowling is kind of no longer an option because you kind of ran out of time on your lane. So that's why I also recommend bowling as a good option to entertain yourself. Now another one is quite interesting, called a board game cafe. Now, if you haven't heard of a board game cafe, it's this concept where you come in and there's two ways you can do it. You can either play the game at that cafe location, or you can rent out the board game outside the cafe location. But it's important to keep in mind that you go to that place or call up the location to understand the rules or regulations or rules or policies to see if they allow you to rent out board games outside the cafe. In my experience, there are some board game cafes that allow you to play in the cafe or in that location, and there's not a lot that allows you to play it outside that location. A great example is the Maples Brew in Mooresville, North Carolina. They allow you to rent out board games and take it outside that location. And this is important to keep in mind because one great concept of board game cafes is that you get to try a number of games. So it's not like a bowling alley where you go there and play one time and you kind of know the game and the place kind of has the same activities. But you can play out new, different games and even challenge yourself when it comes to seeing how your friends or even yourself interpret the games. And again, I always encourage you when you go into these cafes and locations to check out the event calendars, because these are like board games and you have to interact with other people. It's also a great way to meet new people and see how other people play different games. And if you're interested in like a very specific category game, like for example Dungeons and Dragons, you can also see how people maybe cosplay or even see the gaming community. But going back to board game cafes when it comes to interacting with your own friends, another reason why I love this concept is that you get to see how people think. A lot of times when we're playing activities, we kind of in our normal state of chit-chatting and talking, but sometimes board games and games within themselves ask really interesting questions, so you can see how people interpret that and see a new perspective on your friend, other than just them being competitive or just trying to be challenged. But another great concept when it comes to board game cafes is that if the board game cafe does allow you to rent out the games and take it to a different location or maybe take it to your home, you can also try to make it themed so you can play up with the characters of the board game and make it something fun for your friends to do. Or you could also go to a different physical location, let's say going to a lake or going to a park and playing the games over there and make it like a little picnic. These are some different great ideas to consider if you want to spice it up and try a different way to play the board games other than just being at the same location at the restaurant or at that cafe. Coming right back at you, I'm still learning how to edit, so tell me if you like this type of video and this type of styling. I also want to make sure that you guys are enjoying the content, so don't forget to subscribe, like, even share to someone who might be bored this summer or any coming holidays that might need some inspiration when it comes to fun ideas and maybe why you should do these activities. Because sometimes I see a lot of these type of videos and it's more like list content, so you can watch these videos back and give them to recommendations for friends. And also don't forget to check out my website if you're planning a trip to the North Carolina area, especially if you're planning to go to cities like Raleigh and Durham. And if you watched this far in this video, I want you to comment below if you like any of these ideas, if you have any ideas that you think could be better as far as your top 10 list of places to go to when you're bored, or places that you recommend other people to go to, even if you're not from the Raleigh-Durham area. What are some places that people in your city like going to when they want to find some entertainment or some fun? Because it's really cool to see what other people do across different countries, states, or maybe even between different cities.